And N2 is a 12 mm diameter reinforcement. So you need to see details in the reinforcement drawings. Let me see whether I have one inside here. And from there, you find out how many pieces of reinforcement are there using these spacings. And you find out what's their total length. And from length, you convert to kilogram. So you can find that in the total, all these block walls with these areas, how many kilograms are there. And you round to the nearest one decimal place in ton. Okay. So that is a bit of recap for last week. Do you have any questions for this masonry? With racking cutting is very easy. Racking cutting is you need to check on the elevations and you measure the length of the cutting. Do you have any question for me? How many of you have started on assignment 3? Okay, I hope you are all there. Okay, let me turn off my webcam. Okay. The section, what if some side has no dimensions? What do you mean some size? If there's no dimensions, then you have to do some scale off from the drawings, and you just do a scale off, do a measurement, or use a ruler tools to scale off from the drawings. On screen, take off, and you can do an estimate of the dimensions. Okay, you can scale using the ruler tools in the software. Yeah. Use scaling is better, but you can round it up to the nearest number. Yeah. One cos is about 86. You can count the cos as well. No, but I think it's more accurate to just use a scaling tool. Yeah. Okay, let's move on with this. Okay, by the way, guys, let you know that our class, we have until week 13. Okay, so today is week 11. Basically, we have 2 more weeks. Next week will be our last so-called learning lessons. Week 13 only for Q&A. So get ready. I think you should start your assignment 3 early, because if you have any questions, you can ask me easily. Then you can have more instant answers. Or else, when the class finish, you will need to email me, and it means you have to wait for a while before you get the answer from me. Okay, guys. Okay, just to take note, assignment 3, you also have 3 weeks extensions. So basically, it will due in somewhere in July, I think. Yeah, 16. I'll just right here. That's 3 weeks. Huh? I think it's somewhere early July. 15 June, right? So you'll be 6 July. Any more questions? Okay, so just leave it here first. Okay, guys, today we learn about the next trade, which is on roofing. Okay, roofing. Because roofing is another trade that you need to do measurement. So first, you need to look for the areas of all types of roof sheeting, areas of wall sheeting, the batch, and the ridge capping. So just take note and ask yourself, where is batch and where is ridge? Flashings, walls, roof. Okay, flashings, basically we will need a flashing. The flashing is just a piece of metal to bridge in between the joists. So basically, whenever you see areas that potentially there's a joist, there's a gap that water may flow through, we need flashing over it. Okay, just basically to prevent seepage. So between walls and roof, and between roof and roof, you need flashings. Okay, next we talk about gutter and ancillaries. Okay, gutter is a kind of it's like it's an open water pipes that to collect waters. Okay, usually they hang the gutter around the roof. So you ask yourself, where is the flowing directions of the waters? Okay, so if where the water flow down, there should be some sort of gutter to collect the waters and channel it to the rainwater down pipes. Okay, so today we'll talk about roofing. Okay, let's talk about roofing now. Okay, at the same times, guys, do you have the ASMM 6 for roofing finishes and masonry for this assignment 3? Do you have all the ASMM 6 for that? Hello, any ideas? Do you all have the ASMM 6 for assignment 3? You don't have yet? No? No? Alright. Okay, let me send to you this link. I think this is quite updated. Okay. Okay, for assignment 3. Okay, now let's move on by here. Okay. I'm gonna on the audio from travel, and I will pause in the middle somewhere to explain the concept for you.
I'm not sure in measurement 2 whether we have a formal class next week or just a Q&A session. So I'll send out a little bit of trigonometry today. But I'll tell you, there's one trig function that is the only one you need to remember. And it's not just for roofs, it's for anything to do with slopes. So I'll go through that today. And just remember this one, and you'll be right for everything. So don't panic too much. So slide number 2, roofing part A. Remember, I like to colour in the roof. Roofing can get a little bit awkward when you're doing the roof area is a snack, it's easy. But where roofing gets awkward is you have to work out where the flashings are going to go. Often, you might only have a little detail of where the flashings are. They don't actually show you on the drawings where the flashings go, and you've got to be able to work out where you need flashings. So, and often you've got flashings, under flashings or upstand flashings and apron flashings or over flashings. So you've got two lots of different flashings in the same location. So it can get a little bit confusing, so I like to use different colours. And when you're measuring on Cubit, you can change the colour of the lines when you're doing the on-screen measurement. So you know, oh, my blue line is upstand flashings, my orange line is over flashings, or something like that. And then you can see that you've got it. So just be careful with roofing. It's easy to get the areas, but what we call the ancillaries, which are the flashings and cappings, can sometimes take you a terrible lot longer to do because you've got to work out where they go. Sometimes you'll get some little typical drawings, little typical details, but they're not always comprehensive. I've said they use the standard colours from AS 1100, but that's what a purist like me would do. But I know you guys like to get into those fluoro-coloured highlighters and stuff like that, so let your artistic side run free, hey? Line out the drawings in the spec. Make sure you read the spec and just make sure, because sometimes, particularly with metal roofing, they'll put a couple of different types of metal roofing on the same project, because corrugated sheet and mostly all of the what's called pierce fixed sheets that you screw through and fix them down, will only go down to a certain slope. And then when the roof slope is below that, you've got to move to clip fixed, which are ones that are fixed by a clip underneath. So just watch out for that. You might have a certain pitch that comes down to a lower pitch on another roof, and you might have two different types of roof sheeting on a project. You might also have, like on the industrial design building, wall sheeting. So just watch out for that as well. work around the drawing, like I say, in a methodical way. I go from the top left-hand corner. You can go from wherever you like. You can go from the middle and work outwards if you like a big spider web. It doesn't matter so long as you've got your own convention that you use. And don't forget to put your drawing numbers in your calc sheets. What's that? Assumptions made. Yeah, what I like to do is when I find mistakes on the drawings, I know a lot of companies now say, send an RFI, request for information. I think that's just alerting the enemy to what you're secretly plotting in the background. So what I like to do when I'm particularly measuring a job before the tender period, I like to put notes in my calc sheets about mistakes I find on the drawings. And then you've got that little armory at your disposal for later on if you want to put someone to torture. You've got that information there. If you decide you don't want to be horrible to somebody later on, that's fine, you don't have to use it. But I always like to put some little notes in there and say, here's a discrepancy between this drawing and that drawing. And you will find quite a bit of it usually in roofing. And here's what the solution I've come up with. Also, it's good to note with roofing where you found the details, because you can find details of flashings and cappings not necessarily on the roofing drawing. They might be on external wall drawings, they might be on, you might find a junction between floors and they're showing the external wall at first floor level. There happens to be a little roof out the side there, and you might pick up a few cappings or special flashings that way. So just make a note of all the little details you found, because if you've got to come back in 6 months or probably even 3 months, you won't remember where they are. And you'll find something and you'll think, where did I find that? I knew that I found that in a strange place on a drawing somewhere. And you've got to go ratting through everything. It takes you ages to find it. So if you put all those little notes of details and things that you've found, you'll be able to pick up where you got them much quicker. Particularly if you do a tender or you work on a job and your company wins it, and you've done a measure and price on it for the tender, and then they're starting to build it, and they'll come back and say, Trev, you've got this item here, where did you find that? If you can't go back into your calc sheet, or give them your calc sheets, if you can't find it in your calc sheet, you've got this mad tear when you're in the middle of something else to try and find where you found the information. So make your life a little bit easier and put some notes in your calc sheet, any discrepancies, any potential variations. So particularly if the architect gets fairly nasty with you, scalps you for a few things, it's good to have a couple of things in your back pocket that you can turn around and hit them with in retaliation. Because we are in an adversarial system. So you don't always have to draw your sword first, but it's good when they draw their sword that you've got something to come back with. So slide number 3, that's a nasty thing to be teaching young people, isn't it, Ali, that teach them to be spiteful to the other side. But unfortunately our industry is based on a lot of that, so you've got to be prepared. You don't always have to use it, but you've got to be prepared. So we set up our preambles, of course, and we'll go over the preambles, and there's no big surprises in the preambles. First two, can anyone recite the first 2 lines of every preambles? You all jump up your seat and say, yes, we can. I've had it tattooed down my arm. Anyone's seen all these young girls that get around with all things written down their arms? And if they catch you staring at it, trying to read it, they think you're some sort of weirdo. So why would you write stuff down your arm if you don't want me to stare at it? Try and work out what you've said. What wonderful words of wisdom you've got scribbled down your arm. Sorry, anyone that's got tats down their arms, Shakespeare or something like that. So sheet roofing over 22.5 degrees, you've got to nominate that. But what I suggest is you nominate all the different pitches. And so if you've got maybe a roof with a 10 degree and a 5 degree pitch, nominate all the different pitches, not just if it's over or under 25 degrees. You've got to look out too for, in a tile roof, for instance, the tiling battens are included in the price, but in a steel roof they're not. So you've got to watch out for that as well. There's also a big trick with anything to do with roofing, where roofing is fixed to, has anyone heard the term furring channels? and they're little pressed metal channels that screw onto the frame, and then the roofing or the sheeting is fixed onto furring channels. It's a common mistake in a lot of things, but mainly in furring channels. People will say, such and such wall cladding, fixed to furring channels. Now, if you say fixed to furring channels, that says to me, all right, they're only fixed to them. The furring channels are somewhere else. But what people normally mean is fixed to and including furring channels. So when I used to have to go through projects for people and looking for extra money, for builders looking for extra money, first thing I would do is go through bills, quantities and things like that, looking for anything that said fixed. If it said fixed to, I would look and see, do they mean fixed to and including, but they haven't said the including part. It's meant to be understood. And you're amazed the number of times I could come back at people and say, you've said fixed to furring channels. Where are the furring channels? They're not measured. The builder hasn't priced them. You owe us for the furring channels. Oh, by the way, they're very expensive. So be careful when you use the term fixed to. If you mean that if fixed to something that's included, you mean to be included in the price. If you say fixed to including furring channels, that's fine. If you say including, that can be worked out. But if you mean fixed to and including, make sure you use the word including. Otherwise, someone like me will be scouring through your stuff and go, where are these? I made an architect by the name of Bob Bow. It was his first project. It was one of my...
Okay, this part, just be careful. Just to repeat a little bit. Yeah, I just worry that you're falling asleep on the other side of the computers. Okay, basically when you write descriptions, guys, you know, when you are contract managers or you are quantity surveyor, that you are writing the descriptions, you are acting as some sort of you are inputting legal informations. So for example, if you say the roof sheet fixed to the channel, okay, so does it only inclusive the roof sheet? Does it also including the price of the channel? So gotta make very clear. If you say fixed to and including all channels, okay, it means that the channel's cost is inclusive in these items. But if you just say fixed to the channels, it means one may understand that, oh, where's the channel? The channel, is it under structural steel? Do you have another item for channel? So always look for those items. Okay, for Singapore side, for my experience is, for example, when people talk about skylight, okay, so we talk about skylight. Skylight is a kind of windows that fix to the roof. So we say, oh, I want to have a laminated tempered glass fixed to structural steel frame. So you're asking yourself, you know, your skylight is a glass that fixed to structural steel frame. Does it including the structural steel frame, or the structural steel frame is measured separately in another sections? Most of the time, structural steel is another trade itself, so they gotta be on another trade, and covering is another trade. It is another section, so there are two items to add together. Same like for metal roof. The roof structure is another sections, and the roof covering is under roofing. So when you are a QS or contract managers, you just have to be aware of it, because some consultants, they may miss out the other side. They may say that, you know, oh, your metal roof fixed to structural steel frame, and then you assume that structural steel is somewhere else, and you only price for the metal roof, and later on you realize that there's no structural steel frame anywhere in the entire bill. So this is where you should highlight the discrepancy. You should ask, oh, so am I supposed to include a structural steel frame in these items, or is there a missing item for structural steel frame? Okay, so just be careful of the framing that they are fixed. The roofing covering is fixed too. Okay, let's move on.
Early projects, and he wore a bow tie out to site, which I thought was a little bit sus. But this is back in the 70s, where things were fairly rough. So he turned up to site in a bow tie. I hit him with the fixed to and including furring channels and said, you've got all this wall cladding, you haven't got any channels anywhere in the Queen Survey hasn't got them in the bill, and here's my variation, which was a massive variation. And Bob tried to argue with me, and I said, no, Bob, you can't have that. And he cried. He said, the client won't accept this, and he cried. So there I have a bloke on site with a bow tie and crying, and he's an architect. And we were raised to be fairly hard. Back in the 70s, we were pretty hard. People want to look back now. And so I sort of stuck it into him a bit. And then I always used to joke when I was talking about, this architect Bob burst, he wore a bow tie outside, burst into tears, crying on me, this and that. And then about 10 years ago, we were doing work for the Catholic Education Office, and they said, we want you to meet our architect. This is Bob Bow. And there's Bob Bow. By this stage, he's a little old man like me. And I thought, that's the Bob Bow I made cry. And I thought, he's going to hate my guts. He has to have hated my guts for the last 40 years. And he was really nice to me. And we become actually really good friends. And then Caroline and I did a lot of work for him after that. So he'd forgiven me. I never apologised, but he'd forgiven me. So yeah, that's the fixed two, including Bob Bow said to me, he retired about 2 years ago, and he said to me, I've never forgotten ever again in all my specifications, I always wrote fixed two and including, if that's what I meant. So he learned his lesson. I was proud to teach it to him too. So just remember the including. Don't do a Bob Bow to yourself, even though he turned out to be a lovely bloke. Don't do a Bob Bow. I don't mean don't wear a bow tie at the site. I wouldn't do that anyway. I get ragged out about my phone on site. I do it on purpose. My phone is sparkly gold, and I like to pull that out at site meetings and just watch the guys at site meetings just look around the room and they're not going to say anything. Years ago they would have, but now they just look around. They're not going to say. I love that. Anyway, so distance, guys, I've got this sparkly gold, a metal flake phone that people say is a little bit effeminate, but I can't see that. I think it's just nice and gaudy. Anyway, so remember the fixed two. All that big talk was about the fixed two. Turning up ends of sheets. When we get to a sheet comes up under a capping, for instance, you turn the ends up slightly so water can't blow up the sheet on a really windy, rainy night. And at the end of the sheet where it comes down into the gutter, it's turned down. There's a little tool that you can buy that just crimps the end of the sheet down. The idea of that is if the sheet gets fairly low pitch, when it's only just like a little bit of moisture on it, there's a drip runs down the sheet. If there's not much water coming down, it'll turn back around and run slightly just back uphill under the sheet. So if you turn the end of the sheet down, it drips off. So you've got to measure those lengths too, because the guys have got to come along when they're fixing their sheets and just get their little tool on the end of the sheet, turn up the top one, turn down the bottom one. So that takes a little bit of time. You've got to measure that. Any penetrations or penos and colours, skylights, ventilators, cappings, insulation and wire, sarking, flashings, gutters, and there's a fair bit to measure in gutters, downpipes as well, got a bit, and metal fascias. Now you don't have to measure a lot of these items, but you often might have to measure roofing if you work for a builder. So we'll go through all those items to make sure you understand what they are. So slide 4, a couple of different types of roof. We've got flat, pitched and vaulted. Flat roofs have mainly got membrane. They have a membrane on them somewhere. The membrane can be trafficable, which means people are going to walk on it, or non-trafficable, which is usually up on a roof where you can't get to, and people aren't supposed to walk on it. But what I've always found with those is often up on a roof they'll say, no one's going to go on this roof, we don't need to protect the membrane, we'll put a non-trafficable membrane up there. You've still got maintenance people go up there to fix air conditioning, and they will often damage it 10 years later or something, and there'll be leaks in the building and no one can work out why. And when you go up, someone's dragged an air conditioning condenser across the top of the membrane and gouged it up. So you've just got to look out. We'll talk about some of those things a bit later on. But trafficable and non-trafficable are the two terms you'll hear. That means you walk on it or you don't walk on it. You can get a metal deck that'll come down, clip lock will come down to 3 degrees. But as I said, you've got to come from pierce fixed will come down to about 7 degrees, I think. And below 7 degrees to 3 degrees, which is almost flat, you've got to have the clip fixed roof sheets. So have a look when you see a roof it's a steep pitch. You can see the screws in the top of it. That's a pierced fixed roof. You can't lay that down on a very low pitch because it can fill up. If it's a heavy deluge of rain, it'll fill up before the water can run off it and get through where the sheets lap. There's pitch roofs, and we'll talk about, I've got some little photos of gables, hips, and gambrel or Dutch gables. I learned about gambrels when I first started work for Jennings in the 70s, and I never heard the term ever before, and they're all the fashion in the 70s. Gambrels. If you go around and look at houses and they've got little gambrel or Dutch gables, you can think, yeah, that was probably built in the 70s. There's a bit of a resurgence a few years ago, but most of them were 70s little fad. Over the front door, and you'd say to architects, why are you putting that little horrible obstruction in the roof that's a potential leak point there? Oh, it signifies the entry to the building. Yeah, but it might leak, and the pigeons will roost in it. But anyway, it was a bit of a fad. So have a look at buildings built in the 70s, you might find a Dutch gable over the front door, and you'll know why it's there, because you're not able to find the front door without a thing in the roof. And vaulted roofs, which are curved. I'm a little bit sarcastic today, aren't I? I just had a visit from one of my old students. She told me to look out for some students.
Okay, guys. So I think there are more than 3 kinds of roof, but these are the typical kind of roof. So you have flat roof, pitch roof, and vaulted roof. Okay, just be cautious, guys. Roofing is only referred to the covering materials to the roof. It does not including the main structural frame of the roof. For example, if you have an RC flat roof, so the RC slab is including under concrete works. And the roofing part of the RC flat roof, what is that? Teacher, RC flat roof, there's nothing on top because there's an RC slab, that's it. No, if you have an RC flat roof, you will need to have a few layers of materials. We call them built-up membranes to protect the RC slab, because the RC slab, when it exposed to the sun, the sky, the rain, the water will start to seep in, it will start to leak. So for the roofing part of the RC flat roof is layers of membranes. They got waterproofing membrane, cement and screed, insulation board, for example, etc. Okay. And if let's say you have the structure is metal, okay, some of the roof they're using structural steels, beams, and purlin as the supporting structures. So what are their roofing? The roofing can be a metal sheet, corrugated sheet. So just remember, roofing these sections, this trade is only concerned about the covering materials over the roof structure. Okay, it does not include the main structure of the roof. Okay, how about pitch roof? Pitch roof, they also have the structure, which is a bone to hold the roof in shape. So basically, it can be structural steel. In Singapore, yeah, pitch roof mainly are structural steel. Some of the small pavilion, you can use timber as a structure for the roof. So we can have rafter, you can have ridge, you can have purlin, for example, pitch roof, and vaulted roof likewise. Okay, so the most common structural material for roof is structural steel in Singapore. Okay, the second is RC. Okay, so that will be under a separate trade, and this roofing is only referred to the covering of the roof. Okay, so now we talk about this flat roof. This is the RC flat roof. Do you see this is a reinforced concrete flat roof? And this is a built-up membrane. Picture doesn't look like a membrane to me. Yeah, although it's called a membrane, it often consists of a few layers of materials. The functions is to protect the RC roof slab from leaking and from sunshine and also from traffic as well. Okay, so let me show you an example of the build-up membrane roof in Singapore. Let me see an example. I have one here. Okay, let me see. Okay. Okay, here you go. Yeah, this is the waterproofing membrane sections. Okay, for example, this is one of the Singapore projects that I have. So guys, this is the RC flat roof, and this is where they need a certain pipe penetrations. And if you have this happen, it gotta be in number. Okay, you measure this item in number. Okay, so we look at it a closer look. Since it's the RC slab, after the RC slab, they will need to have at least 50 mm thick cement sandcrete to create a smooth surface before they apply the waterproofing sheet. Okay, so after this, you see these second items. This is a brand flexible PVC thermoplastic sheet membrane. So the waterproofing membrane can be a sheet membrane or can be a liquid apply membrane. So got cement screed, they got a waterproofing sheet. And what is this jacket here? This is insulation board, okay? And after insulation board, they have one more layers. It's called geotextile layers, okay? And basically this layer is to protect the insulation board from the corrosive of the cement and screed. And lastly, you need to have another 50 mm thick protection screed, and this protection screed usually comes with some BRC mesh just to prevent it from crack, micro crack, because if it's crack, you know, the water start to seep in and somehow it may destroy the waterproofing membrane below. So this whole gang, you know, we call it build up membrane, right? And this is the roofing part. This part, this is a roofing under the roofing trade, and this is a roofing trade of the RC flat roof. This RC slab will be under the concrete trade, right? Let me give you another example. I think I got one. Okay, I got skylight here. So I got a section for the skyline. Okay, this skyline sections, for example, okay, this is the skylines and this is the roofing part of it, and this is the supporting structure. So like just now what I say is, when you describe these items, are you gonna merge the supporting structure and the covering in one item? If you merge them in one item, and you need to say that this glass is fixed to and including the supporting structure. So the way you describe is very important, okay, to prevent any dispute, because just in case that you forgot to price for these items and there isn't of these items in the bills, you know, later on you said, oh, because you didn't discuss about these items, or you know, your item is not clear. Okay, so this is example of, so in this case you also have the RC flat roof here, and this is a waterproofing membrane, and they follow with a very thick screed scrap, okay, screeded slab, and this is a protection screed. Why do we need a protection screed? Because waterproofing membrane is usually like a plastic sheet, and the plastic sheet may be deteriorated along because of the UV light, so they need to have a protection screed over it. Okay, so later on they will talk about the flashings here. Okay, so just watch out for that.
Nick Helmers, Kay McKinnon, Barbarossa, Barbarossa to put something. And then there's so membrane, on a flat roof can be rolled on, like an acrylic epoxy that can be rolled on, or it can be bitumen that's torched on, and it comes in layers. Usually the bitumen torch on membranes are 3 layers, and they put them on in different directions, and they torch the joints, so they melt the joints so that the bitumen gets rolled out, and they torch the joints and melt the joints in together. It's often laid over a protective sheet of, say, FC, and often they'll put a slip sheet under that so there's allowed to be some movement. So when the very top of it heats up on a really hot summer's day and it starts to get hot, there can be some movement between that and the slab that it sits on. The other thing you'll notice, there's often a fillet where the flat roof comes and joins a vertical member, like a plant room plinth or a parapet. There'll be a little triangular fillet that goes along there so you don't have a square 90-degree joint in the membrane, which is a breaking point, so that'll radius that corner up when they run the membrane up again. The topping slab, as I said, protects the membrane, protects it from UV light. Leighton's head office building in Ashfield was built in the 70s, and they decided to protect the membrane. They would make the roof hold about, well, it was 9 inches, which is 225 millimetres of water. And the water would sit on top of the roof membrane, keep the building cool, and would evaporate. But they had a little, like a ball valve on it, a cistern float ball on it, so it would top up with water all the time. Then some bright spark thought one year, you could go up and you could sit on this little platform up there and look over the water on the roof. And some bright spark thought, we should put goldfish in there. And so they put some fish in, and which was really nice, and people would go up and look and they'd throw things to the fish, and it's sort of 230 mil of water, and the fish are swimming very nicely. Then it comes summertime, and they went up one day, it was before the days of computers, so they had a typing pool, and all the young girls went up there from the typing pool to have lunch, and there's all these floating dead fish because the water got pretty hot, and that was the end of the fish up on the roof. I always thought that was I could see the idea was to keep the membrane protected and keep the membrane cool, but it's also sort of introducing the main leak force, putting it right there in place. So if it's going to leak, you're going to put the pressure on it to leak. So I always thought it was a little bit risky. But that was one of the things that they did. A lot of places used to just put about 100 mil pebbles over top of the membrane. And you often go up onto an older roof and you'll see pebbles, and that's there to protect the membrane that's underneath. Well, membranes can be laid to falls or laid flat. Often the roof slab will be laid flat. Then they'll come up and put a screed over it to go to falls and cross falls to what we call the full-go outlets, or the rainwater outlets on the roof. You'll have a topping slab that's laid to falls and cross falls. The membrane will go over the topping slab. Then there'll be another slab come across that to protect the membrane. So often you can have a couple of different goes up on the roof. You've got to watch what's happening. This slide 7, this is another good system, and it's used quite a bit in Europe, I've noticed, particularly in Paris. And you have the slab, and then they'll put the membrane over the slab, and then there's little plastic screw jack things, about 100 mil high, that hold pavers, about 600 by 600 pavers up in place. And then the idea is, you have these and they screw them up to get them all level, and you've got what looks like a paved area, but actually it's a void space underneath, and then a slab with a membrane on. So if a problem comes, you just lift up a couple of pavers and you can fix the membrane. But this particular job is a nursing home, residential aged care facility down in Kings Langley, and we did it in the main courtyard. They built another, previous to this building, they built another building up at Normanhurst, and it leaked like a sieve, and it leaked down onto the car park, and the people used to complain about, because the leak would come through and carry a fair bit of calcium with it, so they'd get white marks on their cars in the car park, and they used to complain about it. So this...
Okay, if you are still around, let me give you an example of what is happening over here. Okay, this is a very creative system where they apply the waterproofing membrane. It can be, membrane can be different types. It can be a cold types, which is like a plastic bag, a very giant, like a ground sheet, plastic bag kind. very thick that lay over the concrete slab, or it can be a touch on. Touch on is like a melted kind of plastic sheet, or it can be liquid apply where you mix with cement and waters and then you paste over the surface. Okay, so this is a bit different from here because in this case that they have a permanent screed slab over the membrane to protect it. Again, this system is a little bit rigid. Do you know why? Because in the case that you have any leakage over here, you don't know where it is, then you have to hack off the entire screed and have to redo both the membrane and the screed. All right, but in this case a little bit more creative, whereas this is precast concrete paver that elevated and supported by these Versi jacks. You know, it's like a small mini pedestal. So basically the water can still flow down, and once the water flow down, they will have an exit point for the water to be exhausted out. And anytime that they found any problem with the membrane, they can just actually open up this and fix the membrane and then put it back. So it's a kind of non-destructive systems over here. Of course, this is more on non-trafficable areas where only maintenance is required. Okay, let me show you how does it look like for that Versi jack here. Do you see this is the one I'm talking about here? This is the one I'm talking about. Same, yeah, something like this. Okay, so you can may have like a Versi jack. You can have a very thin membrane here, and then you have the kind of a paver and the Versi jacks. And anytime there's some problem with this, you can actually leave it up and then fix it. Okay, so it's a kind of a in situ and dry woods. Okay, it's very interesting. You see, yeah. You can see this kind of system very common in Singapore as well. You go to places like I think Esplanade, the rooftop. You can walk on this kind of paving. Okay, but the good thing about this is the water will flow down here and then it will get channel out of the roof easily. Okay, so one way of controlling the water is to let the water come in and then quickly get it out, instead of getting it sucked there in between the layers and you don't know where is the water. Okay, so this is called Versi jack or skew jack. Okay, it's very popular nowadays for this kind of systems. Okay, so it's something like this.
The architect on the job at King's Langley come up with this idea, and it's worked perfectly. It's been out about 15 years. And whenever they've had a problem, they can pull it up and clean it. So it's a good way to protect the membrane. So when we talk about pitch roofs, we're on slide 8 distance, guys. The top left-hand corner is a hip roof.
Hip roof, yeah.
The top right-hand corner is a gable roof. You can see that triangle on the end. That's called a gable. The bottom left-hand corner, there's the gambrels or Dutch gables. If you've got a long roof, then you see one of those pop up in the middle of it somewhere. You know, the architect's signifying that's where the entry is. That's architectural code for here is the entry. Don't worry about the door. That doesn't mean anything. It's the thing on the roof. You're going to
Gable, hip
and
roof,
the highlight roof is the bottom
gable.
right-hand corner. You can see that comes up as a highlight. Some of the terms we use on slide 9. The ridge is the horizontal top part of the roof. Now that's a roof ventilator. Beside beside where the word ridge is, the barge is raking up the upper gable usually. So the barge is the raking edge of the roof or sloping edge of the roof. The fascia is the horizontal bottom edge of the roof, and the ridge is the horizontal top edge of the roof. The soffit is the underside, like we talked about stair soffits and things like that. Soffit means the underside. And you can just make out there's a valley gutter where two roof pitches come together. We've got to get the water down, and so that comes into a gutter, and it's called a valley gutter because it's a little valley with a gutter in it. It's a pretty good term, isn't it? So,
okay, I believe if you have learned about roof before, perhaps in your measurement 1, okay, this is some of the terms you have to know. Okay, If this is a pitch roof, basically this is using a metal sheet, corrugated sheet. At the top part of the roof, we call them the ridge. Okay, this is a ridge. Okay, this part is a gable and is a gable roof, and this is a gable walls. Okay, this part of the roof, the edge of the roof, we call them a batch. Okay, batch. So if you have a board, a cover, the timber board that cover this, we call them a batch board. All right, this is the sloping part with a batch. The horizontal part, we call them the fascia. Okay, so it's very similar. It can be the use of the same materials, but the sloping part, we call them the batch, and the horizontal part, we call them the fascia. The underneath of the roof, we call it soffit. I believe you know this word. And this is where the two roof meet. It's like a valley. Okay, so if you have some sort of water channel over here, we call them a valley gutter. Okay, so actually it's a valley, roof valley. And in some cases they have the ventilator, so for the air to rise up and go out. In some places it can be a rotating ventilator. Okay, so this is some of the term that you need to know.
Slide 10, the highlight roof. There's some of the things you can see that capping on the very top, where it's got the letter K, called a ridge capping. Top horizontal part of a roof is the ridge. That's a ridge capping. It goes over the fascia and over the roof sheet. You can see here that we've got two pitches. We've got one at 30 degrees. You can see the little angle mark there just near the L grid line. And one very on the left-hand side is 10 degrees. So I would measure these in two separate sections, a 30-degree pitch section and a 10-degree pitch section. 30-degree pitch roof is hard to walk on. It feels almost vertical, and when the sheets are new, it's a slippery ass. So I would measure those as two separate pitches. Even if it was a 10 and a 15, what's that one on the other side? It's another 10. But if we had a 10 on the left, a 30 on the highlight, and a 15 on the other side, I would measure three different roof pitches, three different items for three different roof pitches. You can see a vaulted roof on slide 11 is curved. Flashings are super expensive for those. As you could imagine, to get a curved flashing, you've got to get it made just right to fit the curve. So always measure curved flashings on vaulted roofs separately and make sure you note them as curved. So now the part that you've been really eager to get into is the trigonometry part of it. So I hope you've all got your scientific calculators, because we'll spend the next probably hour and a half working through trigonometry, and I'll throw in a little bit of algebra, and we'll get some differentiation going into as well. No? Okay, let's not bother with it then. So I'll just go over the main three trig rules, sine, tan and cos. I measured them by so, to, a car. That's what I was taught at school back before calculators were even. We only saw calculators in comic books. They were a thing of the future. We never believed they would ever really exist. Same as mobile phones. We used to see those. They would have walkie-talkies and things like that in comic books, and we thought that was so futuristic. I never ever honestly thought when I was young at uni that I would live in an age where we had calculators and mobile phones. It was just, when I got my first fax machine, I sat there all day and waited for someone to send me a fax. Then I rang an architect mate of mine and said, "Brooksy, send me a fax. I know you've got a fax machine. Send me a fax." He sent me a fax, and I couldn't believe it. The same page come out my end as come out his end that he put in his end. It was just mind-blowing technology. So we used to have to do all of our trig longhand. So we used to have to memorise the trig ratios, and the way I did it was so, to, a car, and so opposite over so is sine rule, opposite over hypotenuse. Tan rule is toa, opposite over adjacent, and car is the cos rule, adjacent over hypotenuse. And there's where the hypotenuse is the big slopey one. The adjacent and the opposite is the opposite of the small angle, and adjacent is between the small angle and the right angle.
Okay, this part let me explain for you, so we're gonna be fast. Okay, all we need to know is this cosine. Okay, So cos of this x, cos x equal adjacent, okay, divide by hypotenuse. Okay, so adjacent divided by hypotenuse. So most of the time, when you have a cross sections over the roof, this is the actual length of your roof sheet, and this is the length that's shown on the plan. Okay, so we want to find the actual length that is of the roof sheet based on the length that's shown on the plan. So most of the time, we just have to remember this formula. The actual length of the sloping length equal the projected length divided by cosine angle. Okay, so just remember this. H equal A divided by cosine x. Okay. So let's view example here. View example here. Okay. Assume I have this roof. Okay. Assume I have this roof here. Okay, visible here. Okay, so I have sections here. We have sections here. This is A, for example, this is AA, and this is roof plan. Okay, so I want to find this. What is the areas of this? Okay, you know what's roof areas. Okay, so you know in the sections view, the section view look like this. Okay. Okay, assuming the rectangle. Okay, and okay, on the plan view, you have this is 3 meters, and this is 6 meters. All right, 6 meters. So, and you know this is 3 meters. 3 meter here. Yeah, and this angle is 25 degree. Okay. 25 degree. Okay, here. So what would be the roof areas? Okay, so you know that the roof areas equal this length multiplied with this length. Okay, so this length is A. Okay, if I call this length is A, and B. Okay, okay, A is not 3000, this is A. Okay, this is A. Okay, so you know that area equal A times B. Okay, A times B. Okay, but A is A equal 3000? No, the projections of A is 3000. So you gotta find A equal, remember the sloping length you have to calculate is equal the projected length divided by cosine. Okay, so you take 3 meters, 3000 divided by cosine 25. Okay, so what is A? What is A? A quick one. Okay, let me do a quick calculations. 25, 3000 divided by 25 cosine is 3310. Okay, so areas equal 3.31 times 6. Okay, so this would be meters square. 3.31 times 6. 19.86. Okay, meters square. Okay, so you any questions? So the key of this this formula, okay, so you will find this one, okay, A 3000. Okay, so remember they are roofing down, so usually they will put something like this, 30 degree, okay, so they got a sloping down, the narrow, sloping degree. Any questions? Any problems? Any issue? Okay, now can you find for me the see, let me off it here. Okay, let me give you another examples here. Okay, so can you help me to calculate the areas of this roof? Uh, okay. So I have this 35 degree. Degree, and this is this wave is 6,000. This one is 15,000. Okay, so roof area. Okay, can you give me an answer for these areas? Can you give me the answer for this? One zero eight meters square. How about others? Okay, so we will take 6. Okay, let's take 6 times 15 divide by cosine 35. So let me take 6 times 15 divide by cosine You have 109, right? Yeah, correct. About 108, 109. About 109 meters square. Okay. Okay, now we got another questions, okay? If let's say we have this roof, okay, we have this roof. We have this roof, is a hip roof, okay? I think if you learned before, you shouldn't have any problems, yeah? So they have a hip roof like this. Okay, likewise, let's say you also have same, this is 6. Okay, 6. Let me see how many degrees are here. Let's say this is same, 35 degree. Okay, and this is 6,000, and this is 15,000. How about the areas of this roof? Is this roof area the same as the previous roof or difference? Any ideas? Are they the same or difference? Any ideas, guys? Okay, surprisingly, okay, previous roof was like this, right? The previous roof was exactly the same. It's the same size, okay? Exactly the same, but it's just different roof only. Just it's this roof. So 6,000, 6,000 and 15,000. Are they the same? Difference. Same size, also 35 degree. Okay. You think same or difference? It looks difference. Okay. The width, the span, and the length is same. The degree is same. It is also 35 degree, okay? Yeah, this is 35 degree also. Okay, this is 35 degree. Same. If this is 109 meters square, this is also 109 meters square. The roof covering area is the same, except this one a little bit more difficult. The left hand side one is a bit more difficult to build because it will have more flashings because there are more joints, but the roof area is the same. Okay, so the same thing, we will take length times width divided by 35 degree cosine. Okay, so I didn't believe this at first, but yeah, you can try. Okay, you can go home and think about it, whether is it same or not same.
That's me.
Okay, now guys, let me ask you questions. Okay, we call this a hip. We call this a hip. Okay, this length. I want to find this length. Oops. Okay, let me draw for you. Along here, there will be a lot of rafter. There'll be a length here. There'll be rafter here. There's also a rafter here. Okay, so this is rafter. Will be rafter. Okay, this is a common rafter. Anyway, there's so many rafter around. Okay, and there should be another one called hip rafter here. Okay, this is a hip rafter. The hip rafter is hitch. Okay, I want to find what is hitch. How do I find hitch? I can tell you this R is a common rafter. From here to here is same as from here to here. Okay, so this is actually the same. The R and R is the same. On a plan view, this is a square. It's on a plan view, it is a square. But in the reality, this is not a square because the R and the H and this R does not belong to the same plane. Okay, so let's do different ways. Okay, can we have a contest to find out what is H? Okay, what's H? So assume this is R, this is R. Okay, and what is R? R is a rafter. So basically, if I want to have a roof sections here, if I want to have roof sections here, okay, and this is 35 degree. Okay, this is 6,000, and this is R. Section, this roof section, this is R. I've got here also R, okay. And R here. So what is H? How do we find R? How do we find H? This is just a typical way, okay? There's a lot of way to find, but in these questions, we are not going to do the roof structure. We only find the roof covering. So you know that these two have the same area. So we take all the horizontal area divided by the cosine. So that's no problem. So let's have a quick challenge contest to find what is H. H is a hip rafter, okay? R is a common rafter. Okay? R is common, the common rafter. And H is hip rafter. So can you find, can you use, what is the angles of H on the horizontal, to the horizontal? Is it 35 degree as well? Possible, okay? Possible. Okay, let's do a quick one because this is not a very important part actually. Yeah, then we can have a quick break after this. Okay, so I want to find R. Okay, so I get R equal 3,000 divided by cosine 35 equal, so I get R 3,000 divided by, do we have a cosine just now? 4734. Okay, looks good. Okay, wait, let me find out. How about others? 35 cosine 35 cosine is how much? 0.8191. Okay. So 3,662. Okay, yeah. I using my computer calculator, so it's a bit slow. Okay, so 3,662 is here. Okay. So this is 3,662. Okay, 3,662 here. This is a bit different. This is not 3,662. Okay. So H this is a right angle. So after you have R, this is a triangle. So you are looking at this triangle now. Okay, let me give you a triangle here. So let's zoom into this triangle here. This triangle here. Okay, so this triangle, you have H equal this is 3662, isn't it? H equal this R square, right? 362 square plus equal square root of this square plus 3000 square. Okay, so is it 47 something? Okay, it's very challenging to press in a 3662 square plus 3000 square the square root 4733. Yeah, correct, you're right. So become 4734. Yeah, all correct. Okay, so this is how you find H. Okay, so now I hope that you, so if you notice the way that this okay, the way that in the lecture notes I think he did right. Can I take H equal okay, the way that this travel did right, I think there's a bit difference. What he did is but I think his way is not very accurate. Okay, what he did is he find H, right? What he did is he take 3000. Okay, travel way is we assume R is equal half of that 6000. Okay, which is not right. Usually R is not half of a 6000. R is actually the other side. Okay, so he will assume that this is 45 degree. Okay, can. So you take 3000 divided by cosine 45. Projected H is okay. Projected H is on the plan. Is 3000 divided by. So he take this 3000 divided by cosine 45. Okay, because say this is 45 degree. Okay, two side 45. This is it 45 degree here? Yeah, because this is a square. Okay, this is a square, so this is 45. So then H is projected H divided by cosine 35. Okay, so if you follow his way, it's a bit different, So you take 3000 divided by 45 cosine is 4242. Then you divide another one is 35 cosine 51 something. Okay, so can you tell me, is my method is the one that I present is wrong, or travel is wrong? Then if my wrong is, why is it wrong? And if travel is wrong, why is it wrong? Very good. Go, 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 go. Okay, I can tell you this one, because I also teaching building measurement at this academy. So this method, right, travel method, right, and okay, the way of my method is I take this as a right angle triangle. Okay, so he's assumed that H is on the 35 degree with the on the same 35 degree with the horizontal. Okay, but my method is, but in what I think is it may not be. Okay, I don't think it's H is on 35 degree to the angles. R and R, yes. H, I'm not very sure. Okay, yeah, so you can think about it, you know, if this 4 7 something is wrong, but why is it wrong? You know, we have got a very good assumption, you know, we find R and R the same, you know, but if it's travel way, it looks simpler, but got different answer from mine. So which one is more accurate? Okay, think about it. Okay, the question is H at the 35 degree with the horizontal? Okay, yeah, is that on a 35 degree the horizontal, the projected, is it at 35 degree or difference? Okay, what I think is not 35 degree. Okay, anyway, we're not going to move it here. Okay, I've just saved this image in. You can also save the screen of this image. You can think about it. Okay, but it's not very important, but just think about it. Okay, now we move on. Okay, we move on before we have a break. So any questions so far? Okay, so we know that this, if they have the same, they have gable end or they have a hip roof, they got the same area. Okay, so now we talk about flashings. Okay, let me get you through. Okay, so this is called over flashings. This over flashings, T flashings. Remember, we learned this in masonry. And this is the roof for over flashings, and this is upstand flashings. Okay, so basically we're very worried that the water will go inside this gap and travel inside here and go inside the house. So we have an over flashings to cover over upstand flashings. So basically when you measure flashings under SMM6, you need to give the descriptions with the width. Okay, let me show you where is it. Okay, SMM6. I won't spend so much time with this. I'll move on quickly. Okay, roofing. Okay, let me show you what I'm talking about here. Flashing, you see. So in flashings, you need to state the girth in 250 increments. What does it mean? It means if your girth is 300 mm, so you must say that, oh, the girth is more than 250 and less than 500. Okay. Stating number of times bend whether notch over roofing ribs or dress into corrugations. Okay, so number of times it bends is what it means over here. So for example, this one, okay, number 1 is here. Okay, so you got 2 here, so you have 2 bends. So you set the total width, 392. 392 is about more than 250 and less than 500. Okay, and the 2 times band. So this is how you describe the flashings based on the standard. Okay, so let's have a little bit here.
You don't really have to worry about that. I just wanted to refresh your memory because I know you haven't now have cos on them, don't they? You've also got to remember to add the eaves overhang when you're working out the roofs very, very simply, and they're both identical. Now, I know your area of that gable roof right next to it is directed out through the weep hole. Gone. Then you've only got the inner, the skin on the right-hand side of the cavity. It can get wet and come down in through past the roof and past the roof frame into the inside of the building. So what we do there is we put a upstand flashing, which is flashing number 3, dressed over 2 corrugations or 2 ribs on the roof, across and up the wall. That will stop any water coming down the wall, getting behind or getting onto the wall and going behind it. And then we put flashing number 2, which is an over flashing or apron flashing, into the wall and across and down over the upstand flashing. That means any water that comes into the top part of that parapet can soak down through the parapet. It will hit, whichever skin it's in, it will hit one of those 2 sets of flashings, and it will come out either side. It won't be able to continue down past there through the inner skin down into the inside of the building. So you can see there's 3 sets of flashings there. There's the cavity flashing, the over flashing or apron flashing, and the upstand flashing. So whenever you've got a wall comes down to a roof, you need an over flashing and an upstand flashing. They won't necessarily be drawn. You have to know about them. So you can see there I've got down the bottom, I've got flashing number 1, and the dimensions we know 110 goes through the brick wall. That's the top right hand side of flashing. Diagonally across 2 courses, we know that that's 172. 110 through the bottom, across the bottom course. So cavity flashing we know is 392 twice bent, and that's how we'd describe that. We'd say cavity flashing 400 wide twice bent, because then the person pricing it knows it's a 400 wide piece of material, it's bent twice. The next one is the over flashing, and we know it's 110 across the skin, 150 down for the apron, and so we know that girth is, what have I got there, 260 once bent, and that's how we describe it, because we know, it's 260 girth piece of material, it's 260 wide piece of material, and it's bent once. And then the same thing happens to the upstand flashing, which is flashing number 3. I can't read the girth on that. Probably could read it on here, but can't I? And you can see it comes down 150, 250 wide over 2 ribs, bends down 40 mil at the end. So it's 440 girth, 440 wide, twice bent. And that's how you describe those flashings. Now you have to realise that that's a common scenario wherever you've got a roof joining a wall. Wherever you've got a roof joining a wall, you'll have an over flashing and upstand flashing. And you've got to know about those, because very, very rarely will they be drawn. And a cavity flashing is where you've got a cavity that comes down into the inside of a building. You've got to stop that water coming down that cavity into the inner skin below the roof area. When you get over to a solid parapet, might be a masonry or could be precast concrete, you've got a slightly different scenario. You have the capping goes along the top of it, and then behind that capping on the inside, to stop moisture getting onto the inside, you've got to come down with a lining, and then that becomes your over flashing or your apron, and then the upstand flashing goes behind it. So you can see there the capping, the cavity, the parapet capping. Normally the parapet capping, have I drawn it on there? Yes, I have. See those little tags that come up at the end, 15mm on the end of the parapet capping? They're to stiffen those edges, because otherwise those edges would go wavy all over the place. So that parapet capping would be described as 4 times bent, because you've got those little 15mm long tags and then the 2 top corners. So there's the girth of that is 460 girth parapet capping, 4 times bent. And the people down at, has anyone been at Triple M Sheet Metal at Beresford? If you'd said that to them, they would know exactly what you wanted. And the bloke with no teeth would make it for you. He and I are great mates. Don't know his name, but we're great mates. He made me some stuff. I picked it up this morning. And that's how you describe me more thorough. And at the time, I thought he was the greatest pain in the neck that ever walked the earth. But in years later, I thought it was great. I remember one day he brought me into the conference room in the office and said, "What's wrong?" Toward her as well. I was told I'm incapable of writing a description till I'd had about 10 years' experience. We say to you guys, no, you guys are able to do it now. You've got a computer, write a description. The idea is, what we do in our office is we take existing descriptions and scavenge them and edit them, and that's what I expect you guys to do in your assignments. But if you decide, I'm going to be purist, I'm going to write my description from scratch, the next few slides will show you how to do it. So you start on slide 23, you start by reading and understanding the requirements of section 1, the introduction. Read the first part, information to be included, and then you work left to right across the classification table. So for instance, if we wanted to describe a corrugated sheet roof, we would look down on slide 24 where our distance goes. We'd look down the classification table and see corrugated sheet. And then we would work from left to right across the page. So we work across, we see we're on slide 25. It's measured in square metres. We look at some of the rules. What else is there? The laps, the method of fixing, the nature of the base, so what we're fixing it to, spacing of structural support, the distance between the purlins, the extent of any painting or laps. Any painting of laps. Oh, I haven't come across that before. And then what the slope of it is, if it's greater than 22.5 degrees, I would say any slope at all. So you work your way across, and then on slide 26, we've got to say what's the type, the quality, the laps, the method of fixing, the base and spacing, and the slope if it's less than 22.5 degrees. So they're the things the methods ask for. We simply answer those questions. And our description down the bottom of the page, pre-finished corrugated sheet roofing, 0.48 thick, in 1 length, pierce fixed with colour matching screw, waterproof washers, fixed to steel purlin, space at 900 centres. Roof sloping less than 22.5 degrees. That would be a description from scratch. Or you can just go to one of the sample bills and pinch one out of there and change it. It's up to you. So I think it's a bit rough that in your first go you're expected to write descriptions, whereas I was never allowed to write descriptions for many, many years. I was considered incapable, and it was a senior person. Things have changed with the advent of computers. So to transfer that to a bill format on slide 27, look at the information to be included, note what measurement prices has to be included, and then write the descriptions, transfer that across to your calc sheets. Anyone got any questions? I'll go through a super fast.
Okay, guys. Any questions for the first part? Basically, we have some formulas. Because for the roof, take the projected divide by the cosine of the angle. Okay, and the next thing is the next part we will have lectures 11B, also from roofing. So on 11B, we will go through in details the items by items on the roofing, the methods for the roofing. And also on this 11A, you have he also teach you how to do descriptions. So you can use the existing descriptions here. This is one. Take existing descriptions and modify them to suit, or dry description using the information provided in the methods as a guide. So you can use both. Okay, you can hybrid both. Basically, for your assignment, you can copy these descriptions, and then you go and find in the drawings that, does it match what is stated in your drawings. You can do some modifications, for suitable. So 11A, 11B, there's some sample descriptions here and there. That is for your reference for your assignment 3. So writing the descriptions is another challenge which for your assignment 3. Do you know, for the previous years and there wasn't a requirement to write the descriptions, but because I think because many students did too well, so that's why he changed it. Okay, so he required you to write the description on your own. Okay, anyway, after this lesson, I will try to give you about 10 minutes, 15 minutes. We will have one practice for measuring the roof. Okay, so have break now, guys. Let's have about 15 minutes break. We will get back before 4 p.m. Okay. Any questions for me so far, guys? Any questions? As I say, this will be week 11 and week 13 will be our last week. Week 13, there's no lessons, but there's only Q&A. So I will organize the sessions, but if there's not much of Q&A questions asked, so I will just cut short the lessons on week 13. So try your assignment early, so at least you have some time to ask me. Good questions, I don't know. There's no notification yet. So I think you need to watch out for your emails. There's no information, there's no announcement so far. Let me send a message to Bernice to check. At this moment is no. Okay, we will still have online class, but I need to check again. So if I have any changes, we will quickly give you an announcement. In Australia, you will have 1 week. Australia is still 2 weeks earlier than us. In Singapore, we have 2 weeks plus 1 week. Australia, they only have 1 week. So we have 3 weeks, they have 1 week. Because we started later, 2 weeks later than them. And plus 1 week for COVID-19. Yeah. Yeah. So I have got a confirmation from Bernice that we still have online class until further notice. Yeah. Assignment 3, we'll have assignment 3. Due date is 16 June plus 3 weeks. So 16 June is stated in the course outline, and you have another 2-week extensions, meaning I think 6, 7, 6 July. Two, three. Sorry, 15 June. Not 16, 15 June plus 3 weeks. Typo, okay, should be 15 June plus 3 weeks. But anyway, our class will end very early, much earlier than that. So today 28th, so 4th is week 12, 11 June. Okay, our class on Okay, welcome back, guys. Okay, now we will start with 11B, and later on I will give you some drawings for you to try on take off for roofing. Okay, let's go quickly. This one, 11B.
All right, let's look at this. I suppose the distance guys have got all that on the recording now, but you don't have to worry. We can say whatever we like because I check on who listens to the recordings. Not many people listen to. If you listen to all that, you could send me an email and say, yeah, I've listened to it. And give you comments. You could probably send Adam an email until, if you got more than 88, please send Adam an email and just let him know. Expect hundreds of emails now, Adam. So let's look at sections, week 11, section B, roofing. We're going to quickly see if we can work out how we're going to measure this roofing on slide 2 distance, guys. We're going to do the preambles. Preambles always start off with the same 2 lines. You would have worked it out by now. And then the third item 1 and 2 is refer the introduction, general rules and recommendations. Item 2, refer the specification. You've got to have that in the start of the preambles. And then roofing's only got item be given for guarantees. So say allow for guarantees because all different types of roofing comes with different guarantees. If ever you're working with a membrane roof, while we're talking about guarantees, remember that the guarantee they give is that they will replace the membrane. The big trick is it's the same as membrane under tiling, membrane on roofing. They replace the membrane, but if you've put a slab over top of that membrane, they don't do anything for that. You've got to chop the slab up and replace the slab. So whenever you're negotiating with a roof membrane company to do bathroom floor membranes or roof membranes that you're going to put something over the top of, remember, if there's a problem, they'll happily fix the membrane, but they won't remove stuff to get to the membrane, and they won't put it back. Happened to be on a job in Parramatta, Anglicare's head office down in Parramatta, and the builder come and he put down the membrane and then he tiled it. And I said, wait a minute, there's no guarantee on that. I want to see that the membrane's done properly. And so we made him pull up tiles here and there around the place and check. And we found a few areas where the membrane hadn't been done properly. Had that leaked in the future, the membrane company would have happily come along and fixed up that square metre of membrane. But we would have had to chop up the tiles, take them out. They would have fixed the membrane for free. Then we had the cost of putting the tiles back. So just be careful of that with guarantees. Well, we're talking about guarantees. You will not be able to get them to guarantee that they'll remove the tiling and replace the tiling. They just won't do it. I've tried and tried and tried. But you might be smarter than me. I think you guys are smarter than me, actually. So you might be able to do it. So there's on slide 4, there's our preambles.
Okay, for in this kind of guarantee in Singapore, for metal roof, usually we also give 10 years guarantee. For waterproofing, depends. For the roof, maybe we also give about up to 5 years, isn't it? About 5 years guarantee for waterproofing. 5 or 10 years, I can't remember. As what he say is the only warranty for the waterproofing membrane. So if you put something on it, you need to get your own contractor to remove it and put it back. But they will give you the membrane for free. Okay, so how do we prevent the cases where the membrane, when they fix the membrane, there's some defect, and then we go and tile over it? In Singapore, what we will do is we will ask them, especially for the roof and also the waterproofing for the bathroom, we will need to request them to provide a water test. Okay, it's called water tightness test or water or bonding test. So basically, after you have the waterproofing membrane on, we need to put we spray with water, and then we create like a pond, like a swimming pool, a mini swimming pool, and then we leave it there for a few days, and we see that how how much the water have reduced. Okay. So so in this case, we need to provide an item for guarantee. Okay, that's important.
And we've talked about the guarantees there on slide 5. That's how they're written out into, and you would type those into Cubit at the start of a Cubit trade. Remember, you'd start off, you'd indent generally in the Cubit, start of Cubit, and then you'd put your preambles in. The same as that example we did in masonry. So the rules on slide number 6 apply. The rules for roofing applies to wall shooting equally, so the same rules apply. And you group material according to each other. So if you're measuring all the corrugated iron sheet, you measure all the corrugated iron sheet, and you measure all the flip block sheet or whatever. You don't mix it all up. It's really, really difficult to price a bill where someone's mixed all the items up. So you want all the like items together, otherwise it makes their life really, really hard. And you measure the net area to be covered, and I know you can do that because you know it's 1 over cos of the angle, or the length over the cos of the angle. Does everyone remember that? So you can go home tonight and say, I am a trig expert, I can work out everything to do with a roof by using trigonometry, and you've only got to remember that length over cos of the angle. Slide 7, we just covered that. Slide number 8, the classification table for membranes, and you can see that's the first item in membranes. Asphalt, haven't come across an asphalt roof. I haven't measured an asphalt roof since, I'll tell you how long ago it was. Before the Olympic Stadium was built in Sydney, there was an abattoir there called Homebush Abattoir, and I did some work on Homebush Abattoir back in the late 70s, and there was an asphalt roof there. That was the last asphalt roof I ever had to measure and work with. So I don't think you're going to come across any asphalt roofs. But you can come across membrane roof, bitumen membrane roofs, torched on bitumen membrane roofs. Some of those, there's one, I keep thinking Wolfenstein, but that's a computer game, isn't it? There is a really good German torch on bitumen membrane. Ultra expensive, but it's really, really good. And you might come across that on some good projects.
This is asphalt fresh roof.
So you come across those,
but not
or you'll
very
never
common
come across
in
asphalt,
Singapore.
I don't think. Yeah. And but you'll come across membranes. Membranes are either the torched on bitumen or the rolled on or brush applied liquid membranes, which are some really good ones. There's a really good company down Wyong, Bercy, is it? And they do some really good liquid membranes. So slide number 9, we look at the roof coverings. We've also got pavings.
This one is a bitumen touch on.
That's where you might have a protective slab over top of the roofing membrane. That's not measured in concrete. Typically it would be put up in roofing. Where you've got another term for that I've just remembered is called a wearing slab. So if you hear that term, it goes over the roof membrane to protect it. You've got turn up and turn down an eaves I spoke about. You've got to be measured in lineal metres because the guys have to come along and do it. Penetrations, measure the collars. Because remember we talked about flashings, there's upstands and over, or upstands and apron flashings. When you measure a flashing for a pipe, like a vent pipe that comes through a roof sheet, you've got an upstand flashing and an over flashing you have to measure. So you've got 3 items to measure for a pipe penetration through a roof. You've got to measure the actual hole in the roof. So someone's got to come and cut the peno, the hole. So you've got that. You've got an upstand flashing and you've got an over flashing to measure. So the upstand flashing goes over the roof sheeting and up the pipe. The over flashing comes down over the pipe and over the upstand flashing. So you've got 3 things to measure whenever you've got a pipe coming through the roof. The thing to find often, penetrations through the roof you won't find on an architectural drawing. You might have to go to the hydraulic drawings and see where they're going to have vent pipes or other penetrations coming through the roof. So you've got to be prepared to look at a few drawings. Sometimes an architect will give you a roof drawing. I don't know whether I think there is one on this job. Often, mostly you don't get a roof drawing.
Collar, I give an example for collar. Collar is it?
Gutters is another thing.
Yeah, this is collar dressing.
And you've got to state the girth, what type of gutter it is. So it's a quad, 125 wide quad gutter, 115 wide quad gutter, whether it's pre-finished.
Isn't gutter here?
Felt and expanded metal, never come across that before. Concrete beds under roof covering. That is, for instance, on a tiled roof, up a gable. Has anyone noticed where you come up a gable and you see all the mortar comes up the edge? That's called pointing, verge pointing, and you've got to measure that separately. Precast into surface treatments. Not quite sure what that is. So that's for the membranes. That's the classification table when we get to sheet roofs and corrugated sheet roofs on slide number 10. You've got this at home. And here for corrugated roofs on slide number 11, you've got to measure rake and circular cutting. So you measure the roof sheet in groups of like types of sheet. Measure those in square metres in like types. And then
so if your roof is flat roof, that using membrane or asphalt, okay, you follow item 1 and 2 here. So these are the item for that. Okay, and if your roof is sheet roof, metal sheet roof, is it corrugated or flat sheet? You follow item 3, 4, 5, 6 over here. Basically, this is what you have for your assignment. Okay, for your assignment is corrugated sheet. Okay, so you gotta follow this part. Then actually you can just ignore this part for your assignment because it's your roof with these types.
And you measure the rake cutting, the circular cutting, the turn-ups, turn-downs at the top and bottom of the sheet, and don't forget those. Rolled edges at barges. That's, to explain that, that's like, I should put a photo of that in, it's like a colonial type detail where the ridge capping and barge capping, the metal sides come up on an angle, and then there's like a 50mm round part, diameter round part at the top. You might see on some older houses. They're called rolled ridges.
Your assignment only required you to do the main items, which is this part. Okay, I think there's no requirement for this part.
And some architects tried to do it on the
so your assignment requirement is
on a job I worked on, and they thought, oh, what would be a good idea instead of paying for the rolled cappings with this roll that's rolled into the metal, we'll get a piece of 40mm PVC pipe and we'll cut it down one side and we'll slip it over the edge of the corrugated iron sheet. And that's a really good theory, but it didn't work very well because it's very hard to keep it on there and it's very hard to get it straight. So they were trying to save 50 cents in material, but spent about $10 in labour by trying to get it on, and it looked a bit dodgy. So that's what it looks like. It looks like there's a 40mm piece of pipe been cut and put up top of the barge. You'll see it when you look around and say, oh, I know what he's talking about now. So have a look for those rolled ridges and rolled barges, rolled hips. Bending the sheet over the ridge, sometimes instead of cutting the sheet at the ridge, they'll bend the sheet over the ridge, and you can do it with. There used to be Lysart brought out Lysart Blue, and it was easier to bend. The sheet was easier to bend, and I don't know whether that's still popular with Colorbond, because we only ever used to do it with zinc aluminum. Curve sheets, of course, would have to be measured separately, and forming penetrations. So some of the other rules, slide number 12. Oh, see that timber thing there on halfway down the left-hand side? That's that roll around the top. That's what I'm trying to talk about with the rolled ridge and the rolled hip. It's got that sort of detail around the top of it. Not probably as pronounced as that. But some of the rules on slide 12, we don't deduct anything less than a square metre, penetration or hole less than a square metre. And we measure the net area of the roof cover. Slide number 13, as we said in a previous section, we state the type, quality, lapse, method of fixing, nature, what it's fixed to, as we did in that sample description that we worked on. So slide number 14, Here's a sample of some of the descriptions. Remember, and I think this one is, this example, this is from, I inherited this when I took over this course. I inherited this, and I think I've kept this in because it's got a mistake in it. And it hasn't got the fixed to and included. You see where they've said corrugated fibre cement roof sheeting, fixed to pitch on timber purlins. Are the timber purlins included or not included? So if you now, because you understand, if you read that description, if you were working for the builder and you read that description and you said fixed to pitch on timber purlins, you would go straight to the timber purlins, where you might find timber purlins in the.
In this case, if they say fixed to pitch on timber purlins is actually the timber frame of the roof. So timber purlin have to be measured separately in another sections. Carpentry, for example. Unless they purposely say fixed to and including timber purlin, then timber purlin cost will be under this part. Okay, so this is just the
build and see whether the timber purlin's been measured. Because if they might mean fixed to and included, and you have to go and look, you'd go and look and see if it's there. Because it's timber purlins, they might be, but if it was furring channels, most of the time I would find when someone said fixed to furring channels, they meant the furring channels were included in the cladding, and they didn't measure the furring channels separately. So just watch out for the fixed to and including terms. Slide number 15, shingles and tiles. We don't do a lot of that. That's more of a domestic style thing. And I've worked with some of those guys, and I really don't know how they price things, to be honest. I think they just walk around, they get a feeling in their water, and that's the price. I shouldn't say that because I know my father-in-law, he's retired now, he's in his 80s, but he used to be a painter, and he could walk into a room, he'd go into a room and he'd go, oh yeah, 1.5 litres. And you walk in the next room, oh yeah, 1 3/4 litres. And then at the end of it, he'd have it all tallied up in his head and say, yeah, I've got to buy so many litres of paint to do the inside of this place. And he came and painted my place a year ago inside, and he walked around and he said, oh yeah, we'll go down to Bunnings and we'll buy this much paint. And he was within a litre in the whole house. So I should every fourth tile on every second or third row, run it through that little bit of copper wire through that hole in the back of the tile and tie it onto the tile back. And that's called lacing. But I don't think they do it very much. It's a real horrible thing. Because when you're pulling the tiles off the roof, you go pull, oh, it's one stuck, and you've got to give it a really good reef to get it off because it's been tied on. That's called lacing. It's a little tiny bit of copper wire. So if you get a look at a terracotta tile, have a look at the back. There'll be a tiny little hole somewhere where they stick a.
So just now we talk about this previous one. Okay, this is flat sheet, corrugated sheet, and chalk sheet. Okay, translucent sheet. So this is a roof sheet. I'll show you some what is corrugated sheet. It's very commonly used. So this is the one. Okay, this is the one. This kind, or this kind. Okay. Yeah. So actually, basically, they are zinc, and they are color bond. It means they are coated with a kind of color that is very hard to be aware of. Okay, so this is corrugated sheet. Flat sheet is not very common since, I think. Yeah. So there's a few brand famous in Singapore. There's one famous, it's called Lysac. Okay, Lysac roof. Very popular. Okay. A lot of Singapore, I think most of Singapore landed houses, we are using this one. Lysac. Color bond. Color bond is not a brand name, okay? Color bond is a patented coating system. So basically you have a zinc sheet, but it will make corroded. So you coat it with a kind of colors. Okay, yeah, this is very popular. Clip clock. Okay, this one Lysac lock clip here, roof claddings here. All right. I think your assignment is something like this. So you take a look what kind of system they are using. Go and look for the details, and this is where you can describe. Okay, please describe very how to say describe properly. Okay, you don't just copy and paste. For example, this is a example here. This is example corrugated fiber cement roof sheeting. And I can tell you that your assignment is not fiber cement. The fiber cement is super outdated, and nowadays nobody use fiber cement anymore. Yeah, very, very seldom. Most of the time it's metal, zinc, color bond, zinc, roof, metal roof sheet. So just be careful when you copy the descriptions. It has to make sense. Okay, don't just wholesale. Okay, let me move on here.
Piece of copper wire through and tie around that, and that's what lacing is. Ridge tiles. Tiles have to have separate tiles for the ridge, and they're usually the same tiles they use for hips. And any miters. If you hear the term jollied when someone's talking about tiles, you can get, remember we talked about valley gutters? In some really prestige jobs, you can get what's called jollied valleys. And what they do is they don't have a metal valley gutter. They bring the two tiles down and they cut them so precisely as in a mitre that the two tiles come together in the valley and don't leak. They have a little flashing underneath, but they don't leak. And they're called jolly valleys. So jolly is a term that will turn up in ceramic tiling as well.
Ridge
if you
tile, hip
ever
tiles.
see a or hear an architect say they want jollied edges, that means where two tiles come together on an external corner, they don't want that, you know how it's good, you have that aluminium or PVC strip down there, or you just butt the two tiles in. Jollied tiles means you get the saw and you mitre both edges of those tiles so the tiles come together and with a mitered edge on the corner.
This one is mite joint.
That's what jollied means. So if you hear jollied tiles or jollied valleys, they're fairly expensive items to get done. You measure them by millimeters, and it's where the two tiles, roof tiles or wall tiles, are mitered together.
Very difficult to have these gap joints. Okay.
Cut and splayed ends on tiles. Anywhere where tiles have got to be cut. Oh, they're close cut. Number 8, there's close cut hips at angles. That's called jollied. In the industry, that's called jollied. And verges is up the sides of barges where you've got that pointing. That's slide 16, and we've just been through that on the previous slide.
This is mite joint. But nowadays
some of the terminology.
They use hip tiles.
There's up on the ridge,
Okay,
the highest point, the highest horizontal line. That's a dormer, that little window in the top left-hand diagram there with the chimney. There's a dormer is that little window that sticks out, and they have quite a few flashings around them.
This is a dim dormer.
They have upstand over flashings down around the window part of it. You can see there, you've got the next one down on the left-hand side is a hip roof at the top of it, and on the right-hand end and the left-hand end is a gable. The gable's a vertical triangular section of roof. So if the roof's got a vertical triangular wall, on the end of it, it's a gable roof.
Gable roof?
If the roof all slopes back together, it's a hip roof.
This is a hip roof. Okay, gable, hip.
There we go. Down the bottom one, we've got the swept valley. The swept valley is also, we would call it jollied.
Yeah,
and you'll come across that on really high-end houses. That's the only place I've come across it where they'll get terracotta tiles, or they'll get some maybe slate tiles, and they'll miter the joints down the valleys and the hips and the ridges. I reckon it's all a bit dodgy. Looks quite nice. If you drive up around Turramurra, you might see some houses like that with jollied roof tiles, and you can take your mates for a ride to Turramurra and say, well, why don't we all jump in the car, we'll nick down to Turramurra, have a drive around so we can see any jollied roofs, and they go, oh, that sounds like a great day out, let's go. So that'll be fun. Yeah. Slide number 18, you've got to be careful. Has anyone looked at houses with tile roofs and seen the bottom row of tiles is sort of looks like it's the wrong angle? That's because they haven't put what's called a bell cast.
Slit is actually the stone.
In this example, is wrong. They've set the tile on the fascia doesn't actually work like that. The tile hangs over the fascia bit, and the lip on the end of the tile is much narrower than that. It would be too difficult. So you have another bat behind the tile that's 20 mm behind the fascia, that's 20 mm higher than all the other roofing battens. Because to see how all the other tiles sit on top of the tile that's down the slope, one tile overlaps the tile beneath it, they overlap. When you get to the bottom tile, there's no tile for the top tile to overlap. And so if you don't have a bell cast batten, which is 20 mm higher, to pretend it's another tile, the bottom row of tiles looks like they're pointing in the wrong direction. When you see that, that's usually a builder that's not quite switched on. They haven't realised they've got to put an extra 20 mm along the bottom tile batten. And it's called a bell cast.
This is the
so if you hear the term bell cast, that's what it is. It's the bottom batten is always a little bit thicker than the rest of them. To work out the roof areas, we know there, there's on the bottom of slide number 19, on top of the fascia, there's a bell cast. See that little batten fixed on top of the fascia, that 20 mm? And that just brings the bottom row of tiles up, so it's the same pitch as the other rows of tiles that are all sitting on top of each other. Remember, to work out the roof area, whether it's hip or gable, we all only need to know the area on plan, divide that by cos of the roof pitch. So if the roof pitch is 22 degrees and the area is 500 square metres on plan, 500 divided by cos 22.5, which you can do in your phone. I wouldn't have been saying that when I was at uni. When I went to uni in the 70s, we didn't even have calculators. We had slide rules. And they're really great, but you've got to know the answer before you start. So when it comes, because when you just get the digits on a slide rule, you just get the digits in the answer, but you don't know whether it's 10,000 or 0.001. You know, it's 10 somethings. And you don't know whether it's, and you work in powers, you don't know whether it's 10 to the power of 6 or 10 to the power of minus 6. You just know it's 10. The answer is 10. So you've got to have it in your head, an idea of what the answer will be. You go out and measure. And then in a commercial project, you won't hear sarking and insulation and safety wire. You'll hear wire, wool and foil is what it's called. So they talk about wire, wool and foil. That's wire is the safety wire so people can't fall through the roof. Foil is the sarking and wool is the insulation layer. So that's what it's called, wire, wool and foil, and they'll talk about get the wool or get the foil or get the wire, and that's what they're talking about. So you won't hear the terms insulation, you won't hear the term sarking. And the safety mesh or safety wire is necessary on a commercial project to stop people falling through. So you measure that, even though, in a ceiling it's a different story, but what happens on a roof?
Okay, I think I'm gonna cut short here. I'm gonna go quickly here. Okay, basically after you have the main roof. Okay, so let me go through with you again. Okay, so now we have items 7, 8, 9, 3, 4, 5, 6 roof sheet. Basically, they are metal sheet. Okay, then you have 7, 8, 9. They are tiles, slate or shingles. So they are actually the smaller kind of tiles. Okay. And after that, of course, when you have the tile, you have to measure, all the accessory as well, like ridge tiles, hip tiles, verge, for example. Okay, or at the valley here. And the battens is including in the tiles. So basically for roof tile, you must say including battens. And you're gonna roof tile for your assignment, by the way. Okay. So you have some example of the descriptions here. Okay. This one is a tiles for roof tiles, and there's tile sundries. So basically, you got a main roof, and let's have the sundries items. Okay, next we have is insulations and shockings. 16. 7, 8, 9. 9 is tiles. Examples. Okay, I tell you, we go here. Very easier. So slate shingle and tiles we have here. Okay, so this is all their sundries. And we have manholes, skylights, ventilators, special sheet, tiles. Okay, all this is in number. Okay, so basically you look at the roof, but any other interesting things on it, you know, like chimney, skylight, manhole, you know, just describe it in number. Rich and similar ventilator in Mr. Run. If you don't have to calculate. Okay, the next one, you got the capping. Okay, so this is where you have to do your cappings. You have to calculate your capping. Okay, so you got ridge cappings, hip cappings, batch capping, if cappings, vertical edge cappings. How do you know where is the cappings in your assignment? See the details. That's the only way you find out. Okay, basically what's cappings? Capping is something like flashings, okay, but capping is for the protruding out. You know, if you have something that protruding out, so you need a capping over it for protections. Okay, and something that is okay concave. How do I explain to you? If it's in a joint, if it's indented, we call it a flashing. Okay, if it's popping out, we call it a capping. All right. So let me show you example. So let's say you got a roof, something like this. Okay. And maybe you have another roof here, for example. Okay, so this part, we call them, what do we call this part? The red one. Something that, you know, pointing out. Okay, for example here, this is what you get. This we call them capping. Okay. Okay. And how about this part, the joints? How about this part here? This part here? This part here we call them flashings. Okay, so this part here is flashings. Try another colors. Green. Okay. So this part is flashing. Okay. So this different between capping and flashings. How do you know where's the capping and flashing? See the cross-section details. That's the only way. That's usually whenever the roof direction change, you either need a capping or flashing. Okay, so just remember that. When your roof sheet change directions, that they need to have a joint, you probably will need a flashing or capping. Okay, let's go back to my screen here, because I want to give you an example to try. Okay. Then after that, I've got insulation and shuckings. Insulation and shucking. Shucking usually is aluminum foil. Okay, if you search insulation and shuckings, okay, I show you. This is roof insulation shucking here. Okay, this aluminum foil is shucking. All right, here you go. This yellow color is insulations. Okay, so aluminum foil is shucking. Okay, so insulation and shucking come together. Next, safety mesh, flashing, same way, same things. Okay, so you either have cappings or flashings here. And lastly, you got gutter. Okay, another thing is a gutter is whenever you have at the end of the directions of the water flow, you will have gutter. Okay, so now I'm gonna give you example and you tell me where are the gutter. Okay, example here, let's say I got this roof. Here, okay, half roof, half okay, like this. So where's the gutter? Can you tell me where's the gutter? Okay, so basically this is direction of flow. Think about where's the direction of flow. Can you tell me where's the gutter? Can someone draw on my drawing that to tell me where is the gutter? Ah, correct. This is where the gutter, correct. What else? Yes, right. Some more? Some more. Yes, that's right. How about this side? How about this one? No need gutter. Actually, no need gutter here. Okay, usually here. Yeah. Can we have gutter here? Actually we can, but usually gutter we prefer to make it horizontal. All right. Yeah. So the water will flow here, then will go down water down pipes. Here maybe we just do a shield up so the water will not flow to this side. Okay. So how do we find gutter? See the detail as well. Yeah. Okay. Do we have gutter on this side? Do we have gutter on this side? Actually, I don't know. Look. Side. We first saw roof gutter. Let me see where is the gutter. I'm gonna show you where is the gutter. Aha, here. Very nice to see. No gutter here, okay? I'm gonna show you here. This is just a typical. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, right. Yeah. I'm gonna show you a pictures here. Then you can see. You see here? A moment, please. You see these pictures? See these pictures? Here is the gutter. Can you see or not? Right. And this is the gable end, right? Ah, this is the gable end. So they will put like a gable facial. Sorry, not facial, is a batch. Okay, or the verge. We call it the verge tiles. Okay, these are verge tiles. The batch is this one. Okay, this is the batch. This is the facial board. This is the batch board. This is the verge tiles. Okay, and this is the gutter. Understand? Yeah. Another example here. You see that? So here is verge capping. This is verge capping. If you got a capping here, you see the capping here? Verge capping. Here is verge. This is batch board. This is a verge and batch is actually the same location. This is a verge capping. This is a batch board. This is what board is this? Anyone know what is this? Is this one? This what board is this? Facial board. This one is facial board. Okay, and this is a gutter. Okay, so you have to have like a quick imagination. So where shall be the gutter is? Where shall the gutter be? Okay, and here usually you have a flashing as well. Okay, so we are done with gutter and flashings, and of course lastly we have the downpipes. Okay, yeah. And there are some accessory which we are not need to worry about. And your assignment asking you to do the roof sheeting. Wall sheeting. What is wall sheeting? Because sometimes the roof sheet will go down horizontally, no, vertically, to cover the walls as well. So that one you have to measure similar to the roof, and also part of this. Okay, you see capping, barge capping, ridge capping. Remember just now I showed you the pictures of barge capping. Here, this is barge capping. I think this is the tile roof. Okay, I give you the metal roof so you can see better. Metal roof, here you go. You see, barge capping. This is barge capping. Okay, so this is what you're required inside your assignment. Ridge capping. Ridge is on top. All right, flashings between wall and roof. So looking for where's the walls and the roof, and between roof and roof. If gutters and ancillaries. All right. I'm gonna send you a drawings of last week. This is my. Okay, let me see. I got time. Okay. Let's say this is my qubit. Okay, I'm gonna close this qubit. How do I close the qubit? Close the jobs. Okay, I'm gonna give you another drawings. Okay, I'm gonna give you another drawings. Last week I gave you 3 drawings. Right, TD 4, 8, and 13. This week I give you these drawings, TD 6. Okay. or roof sample. Okay, so I'm gonna show you what I'm doing for TD6 here. Is I'm gonna have a new jobs, cancel. Okay, under here you select the projects, you press new jobs, and my job name is week 11 roofing. For you is part-time student, full-time students. Okay, so I double click here, roof sheeting here. Okay, so let's insert my 06.1. Okay, I just insert here. Okay, at the same time, let's create a BOQ for the roof. Okay, this is a roof. This drawing is similar to your assignment, but this is not your assignment drawings, so don't do the wrong one. Okay, yeah. Okay, you can try it on your own time. Okay, let me do with you, work to it with you. Okay, let me try. I insert this roofing in. I do a scale 9210. Okay. Nine two one zero. Okay, scale. I'm done. And this is a roof. Can you see that the roof have 2 degree, 1 degree, 2 degree, and 7.5 degree? Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I will have 3 items for this. Okay, I got 3 items for 3 roof. I'm gonna separate them out into different ones. So first I will start with roofing sections. Okay, second I'm gonna do the preambles. Remember preambles? I'm gonna follow your preambles here. 11B preambles. I'm gonna copy this preamble. Okay, here 11B here. Okay, or you can copy this one. Refer to introductions in general rules and recommendations. Generally, okay. Refer to introductions, general rule, general rules and recommendations. Okay, yeah. Next one, refer to relevant specifications. Okay, I just anyhow. Okay, relevant recommendations. Okay, then one more item is a guarantee. So I can just copy this, similar here. Provide 10 years written guarantee against failure, roof failures. Provide 10 years written guarantee against roof failure. Okay, here you go. So on the unit side, there's a result. This is a job percentage. I'm not very interested. I want to see where is my result here. Okay, unit here. So you don't have, just put a note items. Okay, and this few thing I ship in then in here. Okay, and this 2 is in then further. Okay, so this is my preambles. If you can't see, you just put a zoom to see. Okay, next items. I'm gonna follow this. Okay, so you have a roof sheet, worksheet. Okay, so the first items is I'm gonna go here is I'm gonna follow this one. Okay, I'm gonna follow roofing corrugated sheet. Okay, remember there's one example of how do you describe it here. Okay, so I'm gonna copy here this one. Okay, so we will create one common corrugated corrugated group sheet. Okay, I don't know what's that in the wait, corrugated sheet. Okay, so and they got another one is the descriptions. Ta-da! Okay, since I got 3 items here, you see that I got 3 items here. This is 1 degree, 1 degree, 2 degree, 7.5 degree. So I'm gonna have 3 items here. Roof sloping. So roof sloping 1.0 degree. Okay, yeah. 2.0 degree. Okay, and roof sloping 7.5 degree. Okay, we can lump together also can. Doesn't matter actually. You can put together. And okay, what else you have? Cappings. Okay, let me see. What else you have? Capping, flashing, and gutter. Okay, so capping. Let me see any description for capping. You need to describe the cappings. So cappings, how do you describe cappings? Roofings. Let me see. Capping, capping, capping. Okay, so state types and size. Okay, types and size. Usually capping is I have to see the I need to check on the detail sections. Okay, so I need to take some of the example from the detail sections and I can do the description accordingly. You can't just say capping, you must say what kind of capping. Is it metal cappings? Is it color bond cappings, or pre-finished capping? What kind of capping are they? So sample, okay, I got very good drawings. Thank you, 13. Okay, if you look at here, you see that? You see that? Color bond, fabricated color bond capping. So they got many capping, got dashboard capping. They got this is dashboard capping. Okay, and how about eve capping? The eve capping. Okay, so there's many cappings. I just give you example. Okay, let me see any more capping they have. Color bond. Okay, so I know the capping is called fabricated color bond. So I'm gonna go here and put capping. Fabricated color bond take maybe there first. I got batch capping, for examples. What else you have? You have what capping you have forgotten about it. Okay, a parapet capping. Okay. See parapet capping. So you got parapet capping. See the next. Okay, parapet capping. Okay, so for examples here. So you got to put the size here. Side. Okay, for example here. So this is capping. So we put here first. I don't want to go so long. Okay, here you are. This is under here, indented here, and this three. Usually I will do everything on same level. Then I will just indent it here first. Okay, so cappings here, for example. So I will have two kind of capping here. Here you go. Okay. So next you got flashings, for examples. Okay. So maybe I don't know what flashing you have. Okay. Yeah. So you got different kind of flashings. Row to wall flashing. How wide? How many wide? How many band? Okay, for examples. Then you have another one is wall to wall flashings. Roof to roof flashing. Okay, then you can do your own description. Okay, you can just copy. You know, each of you will have their own way. Okay, depends on how well you understand the lessons and how you want to make it clear. Okay, so the entire flashings, I'm gonna do. Okay, here you are. So flashing is here. Okay, so I'm going to show the result here. Roof sloping, all these are area. All right. And cappings is length. Sorry, this is nothing. Capping is length. Then also gutter. I forgot about gutter. Okay, here you go. Okay, so you got the if gutter. Example. Okay, you can describe now. Here you are. See how it's described, then you can just follow. So gutter also in length, flashings is also in length. See that? So what you do is you can go and see the BOQ here. I'm doing quite fast, so you can do it at home on your own. See? So you do a BOQ like this, generally. Then you have the roof sheet. Okay, what kind? You can split to different degree. And you do the cappings, flashings, gutters. Okay, yeah, up to you. Okay, yeah, you can have different kind. Okay, now I'm gonna do example. Okay, so sampling, I want to do 1 degree roof here. Okay, this is 1 degree roof. So what you do is I put here 1 degree. I go to home here. I press rectangle. No need to do polyline. I just do rectangle fast, straight away rectangle. So new task. I put roof. Okay, roof 1. Okay, so this is roof 1. Here you are. You go. Done. Okay, so this 1 degree. 1 degree still got some more. Okay, so 1 degree still got some more here. Okay, then you got 2 degree here. So you click to 2 degree here. I tell you, 1 and 2 degree is almost flat. I don't need to divide by cosine because it's about the same. Okay, so 2 degree here. Then you have another one here. It's 7.5 degree. Okay, here you are. 7.5 degree is also, okay, here you are. Yeah, see? So for 7.5 degree, you see roof 4 here, right? This 7.5 degree we have here, 200 something meters square. You want to add in a cosine? Okay, so what you do is, you know that 1 divided by 7.5 cosine is 1.086. Okay, so here you put 1.086, for example. Okay, it's just a little more. Okay, you just say you just note here lah. Factors 41 cosine 7.5. Okay, so you can put under the factors here. So it will increase the length. Okay, let me talk about capping. Okay, let's say parapet capping here. So maybe they got pre-finished parapet capping. You see that? You see? So metal capping here. So this is batch capping here. So you put capping 1 here. Sorry, capping 1 here. You change to here. So you draw capping. So my color of capping I'm gonna choose is pink. Okay, so capping here. Sorry, choose a polyline. Choose polyline instead. So batch capping here, for example. So you unlock pink here. Do you see that? So you got another one is parapet cappings here. So where's the parapet cappings? This is the parapet capping. So the parapet is going around here. Going around here, I guess. See? So parapet cappings here. So you know the parapet capping will go around here. See? So this is your parapet capping. Okay, so you just have a guess, not guess, you see the detail and find where is the parapet capping, different capping. Then let's say you got the flashings. Okay, so parapet roof to wall flashing. So is there a parapet mean there's a big flashing there, for example? So you look for the flashing as well. Okay, so give gutter. Okay, let's say for gutter, I'm gonna do it fast. Okay, for gutter, can you tell me where is the gutter? Remember just now I teach you at the end of the water flow we have gutter. So here we have gutter. Okay, so change color of gutter. I'm gonna choose pink and blue. Okay, green for gutter. So if gutter is here, this is the if here. This is gutter. How about here? Here we have gutter. Sure. Okay. Here. Gutter here. Then also got some box gutter here as well. This is another one box gutter. Okay, so you do so box gutter here. See the box gutter is here. Here you are. Remember, this is where the water will flow. Water will flow and flow to here. So here got gutter. Here will show up gutter because the water flow here. You see the direction of the flow? Correct. So here water flow. So this is very easy. This is how you find gutter. Okay, so guys, I hope that you know what is gutter, what is capping, what is flashings, because these are what you need to measure for your roof. And basically for your roof, you measure on different types of roof separately. Okay, do you have any question for me? So the link I give you is this TD06 that you can take a look, and you can refer to TD13, which I sent to you last week, this TD13, okay, to see all the details, okay, for you to have a look. Anyway, this is not your assignment 3. You can always go directly to your assignment 3. And the last issue is for your assignment 3 deadlines. I promise I will email to Trevor today, and I will give you a formal announcement on the deadlines. Okay? You have any questions for me? I'm gonna go attendance. Now. Okay, I'm gonna go attendance now. Any questions for me, guys? Okay. You mean this one? No problems. Let me see. How do I close it? You want this one? Okay, can. You mean the qubit the qubit file or the drawings? Oh, okay. You are full-time student. Let me see how to export. Wait, I'm not export to a file. Export here. Give me a second now. Where do I export to? Okay, I'm gonna send to you now. Wait. But it's just a quick examples, okay? So you have to make it a bit better in your assignment is in terms of descriptions. You don't just follow what I did just now because that is very rough, okay? Okay, today week 11, yeah. Okay, let me share it with you on WeTransfer. Okay, give me a second. I upload to WeTransfer and send to you. Okay, here you are. Okay, I'm go attendance and let you go. Okay, embauché is here. This embauché here. Embauché, are you here today? Daniel is here. Chandra is here. Jiaming is here. Churching is here. Eka is here. Edin Zako here. Dongcheng here. Guo Ming's here. Yes, here. Shu Tian Mei Shou is here. Tin Lin. Tin Lin, are you here?
Yes.
Tin Lin, are you here?
What is it?
Tin Lin, are you here? Gong Zhou Ted here. I didn't see Tin Lin. Tin Lin. Karu is here, definitely. And Lin Wei Xing is here. Liu Wei Chen is here. Xiao Han is here. Cui Yang is here today. Africa is here. Zhong He is here. Xiao Yi is here. Teng